Fascinating guest on the show. Today, we're a very fascinating guest who's going to give us a bit of an insight into, well, she works as a colour consultant and author, Jessica Sowerby, is going to give us a bit of an insight into home colour schemes. So, welcome to the show, Jessica. Great to have you on board.
Hi there. Thank you very much.
So, Jessica, can you give us a bit of an insight into the research? The research shows that we're a beige nation.
Yeah, it does, unfortunately. I think about 67% of people want to include more colour in their home but don't have the confidence to, which is kind of a sad fact, really, because we spend so much time in our houses. I'd like to think that more people felt they could take the plunge and use the colours that they actually love.
No, absolutely, it makes sense. But how do you decide what colours to decorate your home in?
I always advise people to use their favourite colour. So, like, what's your favourite colour? Kind of, because that's a colour that means something to you. So when you're at home, it's going to make you have that, like, nice, happy, contented feeling. And then you can go from there and build a palette around that. So you can use a mood board or use, like, one of the Homebase inspiration guides, but anything you can to kind of build a palette around that. But I would always go with the colours that are your favourite.
No, that makes sense, absolutely. And in terms of colours, how they impact our mood, what are your thoughts on how colours can impact one's mood?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Our house is very, very colourful, and I love colour. So for me, having a colourful house, if I didn't, I definitely wouldn't feel as, like, happy or as welcomed. As soon as I come in the door, our house is like a big colourful hug. So, yeah, I really do think it's important. And I know that about 34% of people feel the same. They feel like their colour, that more colour in their home would actually, brighten their mood. And I think it's so important. Like I said, we spend so much time in our houses. We need to make sure that we're enjoying ourselves.
Yeah, particularly if it has an impact on mood as well, really, I suppose, in terms of, starting the day and when you're in the home, maybe even subconscious got a bit of an impact on the mood as well. But what tips would you give anyone who's nervous about adding some colour to their home?
I would always say definitely making a mood board to kind of plan your colour scheme beforehand will give you the confidence so that when you come to actually decorating the room properly, you'll know that you'll like it. So if you get your colour samples, do your swatches, bring them into the room that you're going to decorate, and you can see how they work with, like, say, the colour of your sofa or your soft furnishings, curtains, rugs, etc. So you know that the colour palette is going to work before you then commit to doing the whole room. And then that'll avoid you having, like, regret afterwards. Because I know that a third of people have had a painting disaster. We want to avoid that by doing a bit of prep and research beforehand. That means that the end product you'll definitely love.
Yeah, no, definitely that sort of makes sense. And if anyone listening wants some more sort of advice or tips on decorating their home, can you signpost them to anywhere they can go to find out some more information?
Yeah, definitely. They can go to the Homebase website. There's an ideas and advice section on there. They've got information on the colour families, bits and bobs on paint tips, things like that. So if anyone's really unsure, they can head over there. But yeah, I would always say just go with your gut. Go find the colour that you love the most, and then you can kind of build a palette around that.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, what happens if people in the same house have different ideas of what colour? Jessica, sort of, I suppose, could you paint one room one colour and one the other type thing? And, like, say, for example, if there's, maybe sort of siblings in the house, or there could be, differences of idea. I mean, is it possible, do you think, that maybe sort of some rooms to be coloured different than the other?
Yeah, definitely. There's always find, like, a happy medium and a middle ground. And I think that's another reason why mood boards work so well, is because rather than just saying to someone, "Oh, I want to paint this room pink," and then the other person could be thinking, "Oh God, I don't like that," and they're picturing, like, a Barbie's dream house sort of thing. Actually, if you use the mood board to show, well, actually, this is the kind of pink I was thinking, much more of, like, an earthy, soft pink, and then this is how it's going to look with, like, our sofa, and that it helps the other person understand. Oh yeah, that's the kind of vibe they're going for. And then there's nothing wrong with actually having different rooms, different colours, as long as they complement each other. That's the main thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. So like, what you could do, like, speaking to you there, what you could do, say, have a look at the colour first of all, and just see what impact it has on your mood? Do you think that's sort of a viable thing to do, where we might sort of think, well, maybe blue or is the colour that I'm looking for, but then when you hold it up, you might think otherwise. So is that something you would do to sort of like gauge to see if it's the right colour for that person?
I think it's really important to, like I said, use your favourite colours. And for example, if you go with blue is kind of known as a bit of a cooler colour, but the research shows actually that's the colour at the moment that people most want to experiment with. So I would say it's all about finding the right tone of blue. So you get some blues that are really green tones, they're a lot warmer. Then you get some blues that are very, very grey tones. So it's finding the right blue for your feeling. So if you want a really fresh and clean feel, you're going to go for a blue with a lot more grey in it. Whereas if you want a blue that's going to be happy and warm and quite vibrant, you want a blue that's a lot more green in it, a lot more like impactful. So there's no wrong colour, it's just finding the right shade for you.
Absolutely. I mean, sort of the thing that sort of comes to mind there is that, in terms of colour, so for example, what sort of comes to mind speaking to you there, like I might want my car a certain type of colour and the clothes are but I suppose the wall, I'd want a different colour, if that makes any sense. So for example, like I might, prefer to have a black car, but I don't think I'd paint the wall, that colour really. So, in view of that, so when you're sort of reflecting on the favourite colours, is it important, do you think, to sort of like, highlight this is going to be on the wall, this is what you're going to be seeing type thing?
Yeah, I mean, the black car probably is chosen for like being more practical, but I think in your home, black is quite a bold choice, and there's nothing wrong with having black in your home though. If that, like I said, if that's what makes you happy, then you should go ahead and do it. I think the main thing is just to consider the kind of light that your room gets. If your room's quite dark, you might not want to go for like a really deep black, but you could go for maybe a middle ground, go for like a softer brown sort of tone, or even like a navy. But I do genuinely think that whatever colours you love in life, if you surround yourself with them, you will feel happier.
Yeah, and absolutely, that sort of makes sense for sure. I think definitely sort of like, I suppose in the sense that, one way to look at it for me would be, it's obviously when it's a nice day outside, and, you kind of reflect the sort of colours you get in the sky if you've got like a nice day type thing, that sort of bluey type colour. But yeah, I mean, it's to their own really, like he says there, that's the sort of key to it. But thanks for your time, Jessica. It's been really interesting and informative. That the guests have found that really interesting and informative in terms of, colour coordination with their home. So thanks again, and have a great day.
Oh, thank you so much, Jimmy.
Bye bye.